Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. Today we have 3 news stories. First, about a lady with an overrated opinion in a grocery store. Second, about Karen pretending to be the owner's mother and trying to fire his daughter. And third, about parents who mistook their son's girlfriend for a waitress in a restaurant. She demanded that I, a delivery guy, check her groceries out, so I did, with my package scanner. I had a quite amusing IDWHL encounter over this past winter break. Keep in mind at this point, I'd been binge reading this sub for several months leading up to this moment, so it almost felt surreal that I had this opportunity. To set the stage, I was working as a holiday helper for UPS. As a holiday helper, they had us wear cheap brown vests with a small company logo on them. You'd think that'd be enough, but apparently not. Now, although we mainly drop packages off at people's houses, we also went through a shopping plaza to drop stuff off at different stores. We were dropping stuff off at Kroger when this happened. The way it worked was I would take a cart loaded with packages into Kroger along with a diod, which was basically a scanner that we used to log in packages and mark off deliveries. I usually did this delivery alone because it was simple and my driver could use the time to organize other stuff. So off I go into the store with a decent amount of packages stacked up to the trolley where I roll them over to customer service. Usually there's someone behind the desk when I come in, but sometimes the employee is out on the floor helping someone find something like they were today. Standard practice for me is to unload all the boxes behind the counter and then just wait until an employee comes back to sign off on them. So I unload all the boxes, stack them behind the counter, and then lean up against it to wait for someone to come by. While I'm waiting, I casually take out my phone and begin browsing Reddit to pass the time. Then I heard the ahem. I looked up to see a 50-something-year-old lady scowling at me with a cart packed to the brim with food. She had graying blonde hair done in that I want to speak to your manager style and was wearing a bright pink Nike top, blue leggings, and about 2 metric F-tons of attitude. We stared at each other for a moment. Her expression soured with each passing moment like the milk that was undoubtedly curdling in her cart. Finally, she broke the awkward silence. "Well?" I shrugged. "Well, what?" She shoved her cart forward, almost bumping me with it. "Are you going to keep ignoring me, or are you going to get me checked out?" I looked at her, then down at my uniform, which consisted of a gray hoodie, black sweatpants, and my trademark brown vest. Kroger employees wear black khakis, blue-collared shirts, and no brown vests. I looked back up at her, trying to remain polite, and recited this sub's anthem, "I don't work here, lady. I'm just dropping off packages." The sour woman scoffed and jabbed a finger at my dyad. "Bullcrap, you're just too lazy to help me. Start scanning these." She shoved the cart at me again, this time bumping my thigh, "or I'll get your manager." I wasn't sure why she didn't go to the standard checkout line, but I guess if things got really busy, Kroger allowed customers to go through the customer service desk too. It wasn't very busy anyway. Now I could have taken the easy way out and told her to politely F off and left, but she took her phone to make a call and snapped her fingers at me, mouthing, "Come on, I have to be somewhere." So I decided to help her out. I began to unload her groceries one by one in the most tedious manner possible. I scanned each fruit, can, veggie, and box with the dyad, which is normally used for recording people's addresses. Funnily enough, it didn't know where the kiwi or the rotisserie chickens live, but it does make a satisfying little beep when it rejects an address, which sounded quite similar to a product being scanned. I kept doing this for about 10 minutes, often mis-scanning something or inspecting it, much to the woman's annoyance. From time to time, I'd interrupt her phone call to ask her a ridiculous question, such as, "Would you like to add another grape to this bunch? There's one in here with a brown spot." She would usually answer with a huffy, "What?" stare into space as she slowly worked through the question, and then shake her head sharply as she went back to her conversation. She reached her breaking point when I inquired as to whether or not she wanted her eggs bagged individually or all together. "What? Why the F would you—" "What?" she demanded shrilly. I stood there, dyad in one hand, egg crate in the other, looking completely innocent while trying not to die laughing. I could swear I heard her mind briefly shutting down at the stupidity of my question before rebooting. Calmly, and with a polite smile, I repeated the question. Her face was almost as purple as the grapes I'd offered to discount as she struggled to form words. "What kind of dumb question is that?" she croaked. her manicured nails digging into trembling palms. I placed the eggs back in the bag while nodding sympathetically, the kind I ask someone who's too stupid not to take the hint that I don't effing work here. By this time, the Kroger employee working the customer service desk had returned, and the lady turned on them with the fury of God. "How can you let an employee treat me this way? I shop here all the time. How dare you treat a valued customer like crap?" To their credit, the customer service worker took the verbal abuse pretty well, holding their hands up in a holy crap gesture as they tried to calm the lady down. Then they looked from her to me and back to her and simply reiterated what I said. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." I was fascinated to see the doubling down when you're wrong mentality in action, but to my surprise, all the wrath leached out of this harpy in 2 seconds flat. It was the look of someone who realized the only way they'd save face in a situation like this was to simply drop it. She pursed her lips at the employee's words and looked at my brown vest as if I was somehow still defying her logic. "Well," she said coldly, "you just lost a customer." Then, as quick as she'd arrived, the B-word turned on her heel with a flip of her gray attitude do and stormed off. I was tempted to say that it was more of a win, but I figured I'd antagonized her enough. Holding out my dyad for a signature, I asked the employee if he'd ever encountered her before. He said he had, but never that angry. She was usually just demanding and arrogant to anyone else when she shopped there. After getting his signature, I helped him repack everything and asked if he needed me to help him take it back, but he said no. It was worth it, just getting another tumorous customer out of the store. Once everything was settled, I returned to the delivery van. This entire ordeal only lasted about 15 minutes or so. My driver, Jeff, wasn't too angry. He'd arranged the rest of our packages while I was delivering and just told me to be faster next time. Then we continued about our day. "Give me that table." This happened in the early 1990s. I went to elementary school with a girl whose family owned a successful small chain of Greek diners in town. We'll call her Tanya. When we started high school together, her family let her have a small lunch party at a location by our school that was also in a very wealthy neighborhood. We were 14, all gangly elbows and giggles, while Tanya graciously ferried our orders of mostly French fries to and from the table to keep one of the waitresses from being bogged down with a non-tipping private party of sugared-up teens. In walks entitled woman, hereafter known as EW, who marches straight up to the hostess and announces she will need their biggest table for her family's lunch. The diner was hopping as it was prime lunchtime, so the hostess told EW that it'd be at least a 30-minute wait for an 8-top. EW launched into a tirade about her family is parking and the hostess has a maximum of 5 minutes to find her and her family a table, or she'd be calling her personal friend, the manager, to get her fired. The hostess is stunned and tries to stammer out something apologetic, but EW just walks past her to survey the tables. She spots our little group in the back and immediately tells the hostess to clear out those stupid kids and reset the table for her family. The hostess refuses and tells EW she'll have to wait like everyone else. EW loses it, screaming at how she'll have everyone fired. It's gone dead silent and everyone is staring at her. EW's family is starting to filter in behind her and looks confused. Probably feeling emboldened by having backup, EW proceeds to march over to our table and snatch baskets of fries and drinks off the table and throw them in the nearby bus cart, yelling at us that we're done wasting the restaurant's money and that it's time to go. Most of us just cringed away from her, looking confused, but Tanya, still carrying a basket of fries, got right in her face and told her to go away and stop being rude. EW was waiting for this apparently and chose to double down. She pulled out her ace card. "Do you know who I am?" and claimed to be the owner's mother right to Tanya's face and tell her she can kiss her little waitressing job goodbye. Tanya stares this feckless cow down without looking away and says, "Hey Dad, Yaya is here to see you." Her dad pops his head out of the kitchen, looking alarmed. "I hope not. She's been dead for 6 years." Hilarity ensues. "I'm not your waitress. I'm your son's girlfriend." This was something that happened a long time ago when I first started dating my now fiancé. It came up in conversation the other day as my fiancé's best man was threatening to put it in his speech, much to the embarrassment of my soon-to-be mother-in-law. My fiance and I met at university, many miles away from his home city. We were in some of the same classes and romance blossomed. We'd been a couple for a few months when he said that his parents were coming to see him and wanted to meet me as well. The plan was for us all to go out to dinner together. The evening arrived, however, my boyfriend had an unmissable meeting scheduled just before we were meant to be leaving. We decided that I'd go ahead and meet them and be interrogated, and my boyfriend would try to hurry up the meeting and go straight from there. So I caught the bus into town. However, it was just my luck that it broke down halfway through the journey, meaning that I was about 15 minutes behind schedule. I caught my boyfriend just before his meeting to tell him, and he passed on the message to his parents, who replied almost instantly saying that they were already at the restaurant and gave the location of their table so I could just join them when I got there. This restaurant was fancy-ish. You definitely wear smart casual clothing to dine there, and staff were all in similar dress of white shirt and blouse, pressed trousers, and smart shoes. I was wearing the smartest dress I had, which was dark red, definitely not their uniform. So I get there 10-ish minutes late and a little bit sweaty and out of breath. I spotted my boyfriend's parents. I'd seen pictures of them, so I knew what they looked like, sitting at a table. I put on a "don't let them know you're nervous" smile and walked over there. This is the conversation that followed. Me: "Hi there, sorry I'm late. It's lovely to meet you." Mother-in-law: "Oh, someone's already taken our drinks order. We'll be ready to order food when the rest of our party arrives." Me: "I'm not your waitress. I'm your son's girlfriend. Sorry for being late." My poor future mother-in-law turned the color of my red dress. She apologized for a good 2 minutes while my future father-in-law had a fit of giggles. It was not the most conventional way of meeting the in-laws, but it definitely broke the ice. It wasn't brought up when my boyfriend arrived, but I mentioned it afterwards and it made him laugh too. Although it didn't have any lasting effect, my mother-in-law definitely doesn't want this announced at our wedding. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.